Alright, so when you start up a new project in Blender, you'll have this default loadout made for you. But this is not optimal if you want to build stuff in RPG Maker. So what we're going to do is we're going to select everything with the shortcut A, and then hitting the delete key. And then now we'll have to optimize our grid here. And we can do that by going up in this menu here, hit the arrow, and then change the scale from 1 to 0.0625. And then we change the subdivisions to 16. And then we'll have to enable this by going into this tab here. Make sure you're on this tab, Scene, and then make sure you find the Units menu. And change this from Metric to None. Alright, and then... oh yeah, you can navigate around the camera with the middle mouse button. Just hold down, drag across the screen, and you can pivot. And you can also hold down Shift. Make sure you're holding down Shift and then using your middle mouse button. With this, you can move in a straight line across the axis. Alright, now that we have that down, we're gonna add an object, a cube in particular. And then whenever you add an object, then you're gonna have this menu up down here. Make sure you open that, set this to 1. And you can also change how you view this world by going up here, go to viewpoint, and then all the shortcuts are listed next to it, so make sure you use these. I'm gonna do the top angle. Now we're looking at it from the top. And this cube here represents a 1x1 tile in RPG Maker. And then we're going to use this as a basis to help us make stuff in RPG Maker. As you can see, this cube spawns in the center of the grid. And if you were to export this into RPG Maker, this would be spawned halfway into the ground. But for our convenience, we're just gonna have it set so it spawns above the ground. Make sure you have this magnet thing enabled. This enables snapping, so whenever you move this object around, it will snap to these squares here. So in order to move it, make sure you select the object, make sure it's highlighted, and then hit G. This allows you to move it. And because I have that snapping option enabled, it's moving up by grids. Alright, now that it's above the floor, we can begin modifying the square here. But first you have to select it, make sure it's highlighted, and then hit Tab. That'll send you to edit mode here. You can also change from object mode to edit mode with this menu up here. So go to edit mode, and then look at each of these options you can modify. So we have vertex here, which are these corners on the object. You can modify this by hitting G on your keyboard, which enables you to change the position. And then this will deform it based on how you move them. And then the next modification you can change is the edges, which are these guys here, these lines. Again, hit G on your keyboard, and then it'll follow the cursor, and this will deform based on how you move the edges. And then the last option you can modify is the face. So pick any face you want, hit G on your keyboard, and then you can deform it based on the face, like so. Now for a more advanced modification, you also have these options here, from extrude to bevel. And what extrude does, you can extrude from the faces. So I'm gonna pick the top face here, go into the front view, grab this little yellow circle here, and I'm gonna drag it upwards. And as you can see, this creates a new branch from the top face. I can continue doing it, and I can extrude from this face here, make a new branch from that face, make a new branch from this face again, make a new branch from the bottom face, again, from this face, make a nice P here. This is what extrude does. Basically just creates more cubes based on the face you're picking from. That's how you would use extrude. Just gonna undo all that. The other option is bevel. If you go on bevel, make sure it's highlighted. You'll have this yellow circle here. If you grab it and you drag upwards, it's gonna create more faces in a pyramid-like fashion. And you can adjust this however you like, but this is basically what bevel is. And on a further note, when you're modifying things like this, so if I grab it, drag, and then I let go, Blender will register that as a finished modification. So if I wanted to have a more steeper slope going on, it's just going to modify on top of what I did earlier. So make sure you, when you let go of your left click, make sure that you finalized your decision on how much you want to modify.